Welcome, everybody. It is the Paul Rodriguez Show. It is the 13th of July, 2021. We are in the dog days of summer as far as sports news is concerned, but we didn't get to talk about Dallas Cowboys yesterday. We had a lengthy UFC conversation, highly animated, I would definitely say. Producer James in the building, and had to get the people going yesterday. How are you feeling today?
I'm good.
That's it. You're good. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on, bro. Let's get into this, dude. Shout out to your plate of barbecue yesterday and the rice. Your lady making the rice, that was delicious. Kind of had that for dinner last night after the show, and yeah, man, I might have to hit you up again and be like, you need to bring that plate every week just to kind of get things going. It was mighty tasty. I appreciate you bringing that through last night. But getting into today's show, we're going to talk a little bit of Big 12 football. Then we'll probably touch on a little bit of what's kind of going on in other sports. We'll kind of just dabble a little bit. There's an all-star baseball going on in Denver, which was previously moved from Atlanta. And then also there is the NBA Finals. We'll probably touch on that at the end. Producer James probably a little bit more in tune with what's going on in the NBA Finals. I did see Devin Booker roll up to one of the finals games in this just badass, had to have been like a 1950s Chevrolet, almost like a Bel Air type, but I mean, and it was slammed to the ground too. So, I guess he's getting into that Arizona lifestyle, if you know what I'm saying, with that street cred. But that was a pretty dope. It was kind of like copper color with the white top. Did you see that?
Yeah,
you saw that?
Yeah.
So it was pretty dope to kind of see that kind of going there. But we'll get into a little bit of the Dallas Cowboys. A couple of rankings kind of came out for the Dallas Cowboys as far as offensive players. And I think we're really seeing what people are expecting, I should say, from the Dallas Cowboys is a run similar to when Zeke and Dak were both rookies. And they had such Dak, of course, took over for Tony Romo. And having such an explosive season, granted, they had probably their offensive line with all pros all over, from Zach Martin to Travis Frederick, who's now retired. And, Lyle Collins was a rookie that year, I believe, as well, who they kind of stole out of LSU. And then, of course, Tyron Smith, the all-pro out of USC, holding down the left side to protect the blind side. And I think that's what's kind of the anticipation now going into the 21 season, been selected for Hard Knocks, which was pretty ironic for the, criteria to be selected. Can't be in the playoffs the previous year. Haven't been able to be on the show in the last 10. And they kind of can't have a first-year head coach. They met all the criteria in year 2 of the McCarthy era. So, what are you gonna pick? Arizona? I mean, you could have, but Dallas Cowboys, better pool, better ratings. I'm pretty sure you're gonna get, especially with Jerry and his son, and Dak coming back from his catastrophic injury, and as well as the offensive line, big time injuries all across the board, and hopefully they can solidify the center position with Biotic, the center out of Wisconsin, taken a couple of years ago. And with that being said, the two rankings that were released by ESPN having Zach and Deke. Oh, Zach and Deke. Is that their new hybrid name? Deke. You got Deke out of the backfield. Somebody's probably gonna make. We should make a shirt like that, right? Like Deke.
It's crazy because I just kind of nodded my head, like I knew who you were talking about. It just it almost didn't even process.
I think some people also said Zach, Z-A-K, okay. And then instead of Deke, D-E-K. I guess they both could work. It could be like Zach Deke. I don't know, something like that. Maybe Wizard, if you're listening, maybe you could put a little something together. Maybe we could put that up on the poll. Maybe the folks would dig it. But both of them, in both the poll or both the rankings from ESPN, in the quarterback position, Dak is ranked 7th, just behind Stafford, who's now in LA with the Rams, and Zeke is ranked right behind Saquon at 7 as well. So both the backfield for the Dallas Cowboys is both ranked 7th out of 32, and which they just missed the top 10%. People like to say, "Oh, well, they're in the top 10." It's like, okay, well, what's 10 out of 32? What percentage of that? That's like 25, 26%. So when you're telling me they're in the top 10, they're really like, you're telling me they're in the top 25% of the NFL. Now at 7, they get a little bit closer, but they're still not top. They're not top 5 guys. Now that's questionable. We don't know what number one. We don't know how Dak's going to respond off his injury. Zeke, I think, can be a top 5, but we're talking about guys who are already up there like Derrick Henry. We're talking about people have Ed McCaffrey up there. Saquon's at 6. Nick Chubb is up there as well. So there's a lot of running back. Alvin Kamara. There's a lot of high-end running backs, and I think because of, one, we know what Derrick Henry can do. Kamara, we know what he can do out of the backfield, catching and running. But those other guys who are just below 1 and 2 and 3, you're kind of like, well, was Zeke's lack of production due to the offensive line? And I'm saying, yes, it was. And I'm also saying, well, Dak's numbers are a little bit more inflated due to the fact that he was compensating for a lack of running game and also trying to garner all these numbers in garbage time when they're down by like 30 points because the defense was atrocious, which hopefully it can be steadily improved this year. A lot of people keep saying like, well, Washington's going to win the NFC East due to the fact that they have a better defense up front 4. Okay, well, what Fitzpatrick are you getting? Are you getting Fitzmagic or are you getting Fitzpatrick? Because we've seen what he can do in Miami where he's going to, win you some games, and then you're going to plug in another quarterback, he's going to lose his rhythm, and then he's not going to be as good as he could have been. Or is he going to be the Fitzpatrick when he was with the Houston Texans, where he looks good and then he looks bad, and he looks good and he looks bad. To me, the inconsistency there has me a little bit reserved for Washington to kind of take that, that next step. On the other half of the coin, Washington, they're in a mess right now, having to pay a $10 million fine, which I don't know if y'all have done the math. Is really, it's 2.86% of their net worth. It's 0.286%. Yeah, so it's less than 1% of their whole, net worth.
A little slap on the wrist, if that.
To me, if you want to make that comparison, it's like if you had $100, if you had $100 and someone says we're gonna fine you, you need to pay us 2 pennies. That's what it's like.
What are they getting fined for? Because
they had some findings that their workplace was unacceptable. I'm just gonna leave it right there. That's about as close as I want to get to that topic, just because of I think they said the workplace was, I don't want to use the wrong word. I believe they said the workplace was traumatic. I think that's the one word they did use. It was a traumatic environment.
Damn.
And so this was a finding done by an independent party that was, administered by the NFL. Anyways, getting back to the Cowboys, I'm really excited to see, how things get into training camp. Dallas and the Pittsburgh Steelers will be one of the first teams to start training camp early due to the fact that they play in the Hall of Fame game, which they were supposed to play last year, and that'll be on August 8th. What's funny is Hard Knocks, the first episode, drops 2 days later. So we're going to get to see, when August 10th comes, we're going to get to see basically the Dallas Cowboys arriving to training camp in Oxnard, California. We're going to get to see them kind of do their process. People are going to get cut. We're going to get to see them in Ohio for the Hall of Fame game. And then we'll get to really see the repercussions on how people perform. Like, are we going to get to see Zeke and Dak in that Hall of Fame game? I don't think so. Is there something going on up there?
No, just looking at some equipment stuff right here.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was like, is there something going on? Am I missing something? Something crawling on the roof that I can't see?
Fly on the wall.
Expectations from me are still really high. I'm still putting Dallas in that. I think they're going to win a minimum of 10 games. And I think that's because Dan Quinn and the defense is going to really come in to help out and just not be as bad as they were last year. I think middle of the road. is what I'm expecting them to be. And I think Dak is going to come back and produce as he had done in years past and before he got hurt, I believe in week 4 or 5 of last year. But for people who are looking into the Dallas Cowboys, what do you take, Producer James, what are you taking away from all the hype that's kind of surrounding Dallas? We see the hype every year, but in your perception, does it seem different? Does it seem like this is just the same old Cowboys who are saying Super Bowl or bust? Or is there a little bit more of, because Dallas has been quiet this whole summertime. They've been really quiet. Nobody's been saying nothing. It's just been smooth sailing, which is abnormal for the Cowboys. Nobody's getting arrested. No Dallas Cowboy players are getting arrested. Nobody's getting domestic disputes. Nobody's getting arrested. It's just real. To me, it's unlike the Dallas Cowboys, who are like usually dominating the headlines. And this year, nobody's really dominated the headlines. And for you looking in, is this a sign of cohesion from Dallas? Is their leader back? Was Dak Prescott the guy who galvanized and glued this team together? Or is there something bigger going on? Is there something that we can't see? Because for me, all I see is a regular team getting ready to play a regular season. And like when I say regular, like 10 games, 10 wins is regular. Because now we have 17-game season. 10 wins is nothing. 13, 14, 15 wins? Yeah, that's something. What is your perception? Is this just the same average Cowboys, or you see something special brewing?
Definitely this year, this coming season, I feel like their expectations are set a whole lot higher. Like
who's setting them?
Not just for well, I mean, me personally as a non-Cowboys fan,
right.
Let me correct myself. I just feel like they gotta, based on the contract that they gave Dak, their draft pick, Michael Parsons, is that his name? And yeah, man, I feel like they should do like we've talked about, maybe NFC Championship run, to justify the moves that they have made, or to be like, oh yeah, these were the right moves. So me personally, my expectation for them is high this season, as opposed to your normal DC 4L zombie. Every year, it's Super Bowl, but yeah, I mean, I think their expectations are a lot higher.
But do you think they can fulfill them, or is this just
I think they
a bunch of hot air?
I think they can.
Yeah, you think they can?
Yeah, if they all.
I guess my biggest frustration is that, to me, there's no alphas on that team that I haven't found yet. That I haven't seen. Nobody's displayed. Hard Knocks is going to show me if there's an alpha out there. Now, apparently this rookie class that just got drafted, they like to chirp. They like to talk. They like to tell you how good they are when they beat you. And maybe that's what they identified, or Dan Quinn identified, by taking in a lot of defensive heavy draft class. And maybe Michael Parsons is that alpha on that defense. And listen, man, I don't know if Jerry's waiting to make a splash move, but if there's two guys I think Jerry can go get that would be a splash. If Jerry went to go get Richard Sherman, not as a contributor, but maybe just as a facilitator, like let him be a rover and dime package back there to let him secure the defense and let him communicate and like groom Micah Parsons to like turn into like a Bobby Wagner when they were in Seattle with the Legion of Boom. Because when Bobby Wagner, who was a mid-round draft pick, and he turned into an all-pro. And I think Micah Parsons is that same body type. Like Bobby Wagner is 6'2", 250. Well, now we got Micah Parsons, who's 6'3", 260, can run a 4.4. And it's like, we have better equipment. It's like we have better, more efficient equipment. Let him learn from a guy like Sherm, and to just be the conductor in Dan Quinn's, defense to like let it move. Like Dan Quinn's defense for people, they're going to be a bend but don't break. They're going to be like, once you get to the 20, we're going to shut you all down. But between the 20s, you're going to move the ball, and people really don't like that because they get frustrated. But if they can get some defenders with sticky fingers, maybe they get more turnovers. That gets them more opportunities to score points. that gives more opportunities to win football games when you're in that plus department for the turnover margin. And, moving forward, personally, I don't think Dak is a top 7 quarterback. I think Dak is a top 5 guy. I think Zeke is a top 4 guy. I think that's where those guys belong. Why? Because when you need to rack up points and you need to rack up yards and you have the plethora of receivers, not to mention this, look, CeeDee Lamb is going to have a breakout year. I think CeeDee Lamb is going to pop, and Dak Prescott is going to get him the ball early and often. Michael Gallup's still going to be able to take the top off the defense, and Amari Cooper is going to be the guy who's a big possession receiver. But I think CD is going to turn into Michael Irvin. He's going to turn into the playmaker. And in order for Dallas to be successful, you need a killer on the outside. You need a guy who can fire up those offensive linemen, those players on offense to go score the way Michael Irvin did. Is it annoying at times? Yeah, it's fucking annoying. It's like, Mike, shut the fuck up. We get it. We know we're going to go score. But those guys, their minds, they're built different. And they need somebody like that. And I hope CD is going to fill that void. And then you just need a guy who can just pull the trigger like Dak and let him rack up the yards. And so hopefully that's the product we get. And if it's not the product that we get, you better believe week in and week out, I will be highlighting explicitly all the shortcomings of the Dallas Cowboys. But when they win, it's like this year, like last year, I was like, if they win or they lose, it's Jerry's fault. Because I thought Jerry did a horrible job in the draft and a horrible job coaching and hiring Mike Nolan. McCarthy, the jury's still out. I'm not sold on McCarthy. But for Jerry and Mike to go get Dan Quinn, I'm like, okay, that's a step in the right direction. Now the question is, you had all training camp, no COVID, hopefully no COVID going forward, where these guys absorb that defense. And it's just second nature by the time they get to the regular season. So I'm expecting big things. I hope for big things. But this year, if they lose, it's on McCarthy. It's not on Jerry this year. The way the Dallas Cowboy goes, if they're successful, then it's Mike McCarthy's fault. And if they're not successful, it's Mike McCarthy's fault. Dak got paid. Zeke got paid. The offensive line is healthy. You drafted a premier defensive linebacker with Micah Parsons. Dan Quinn had time to install his systems. It's all on you, McCarthy. And Kellen Moore. That's the other half, too. Kellen Jones. He's who I wouldn't be surprised will be the next head coach of Dallas.
So you think that, in a sense, Mike McCarthy is in the hot seat this season?
Not to be fired. But if they finish under 500 next year, fuck yeah. It's going to be like, Mike, what's the problem? We already got rid of Mike Nolan. The defense improved. Why are we losing games?
So you don't see any scenario this year that he could be fired?
If there's no big injury, if there's no catastrophic injury, like what I mean catastrophic is like left tackle, Micah Parsons, Zeke Elliott, the center, any big time all pro position player, as long as they don't get hurt. But if they're all healthy and it's week 10 and they have one win, yeah, it's going to be time. It's going to be like, okay, Dallas isn't doing what they were supposed to be doing. Why? The defense is better, and people will see it. People will be able to identify, is the defense better than what it was last year? Because if they're losing games like 21-17, 35-31, 28-24, if they're losing games like that, that's coaching. But if they're getting blown out like 28-31 or not 28-31, but 28-14, 10, something like that, then that's okay. There's more holes. There's something else going on. But I wouldn't put it like, it's the same reason Aaron Rodgers wanted Mike McCarthy out, because his offense was old. It was old. Did they win in 2010? Yes. It was okay in 2010. But for 2017, it was old. And my thing is I know Kellen Moore's offense coordinator, but my question is can can Mike McCarthy's offense work with high weapons on their offense side of the ball? Like Aaron Rodgers never had these weapons that they have in Dallas. Never. So now we have a quarterback who's capable. Dak Prescott's capable. And now you have an offense that's loaded. It's like there's no more excuses. You got to go fucking win.
Yeah, I agree.
There's nothing left to talk about. And the good thing is we'll have stuff to talk about on our show week in and week out because of Hard Knocks, and training camp will be underway, and we'll be able to see who's going to come and who's going to go.
So Hard Knocks starts
August 10th.
August 10th.
That's the first episode.
Cool. And it's a weekly show?
Every Tuesday, yeah.
Nice.
So what happens is August 8th is it August 8th? Is it Sunday? I can't think off the top of my head. August 8th.
Yeah, Sunday.
August 8th, that's the Hall of Fame game. That's going to be Dallas and Pittsburgh.
Are they like replacing that from what was supposed to be last year? Okay.
That was supposed to be last year's game. So we'll see. We'll get up. That's the first preseason game. It's going to kick it off. Is it me, or does the NFL kind of have that same expectation? We're leading off preseason with who? Dallas. We're leading on Hard Knocks with who? With Dallas. We're leading off the first game of the season, the regular season, with Dallas at the Super Bowl defending champs, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's like the NFL knows it's good for business when Dallas is good. They know that. It's good for business when Dallas is good, Pittsburgh's good, the Steelers are good, the Patriots are good. It's good for business. And right now, Dallas needs something because you've been bottom feeders for, I think, what is it now? 20. I mean, it's almost 30 years.
Yeah.
It's like 27 years. 95. 95. So yeah, 26 years. You ain't done nothing. It's time. It's almost like they're due. It's almost like, okay, you won your 3 Super Bowls. You've been on a hiatus, and okay, here we go. Let's run it. Let's get after it.
I always mess with my girl. Like, she'll be like, "Hey, she's been needing her headlight changed. Or when are you gonna change my headlight?" I'll be like, "Oh, let's say when the Dallas Cowboys win the Super Bowl."
Well, she's a Cowboys fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that doesn't help.
You ever see Angels in the Outfield?
Yeah. The baseball movie, yeah.
So his the little boy, his dad's a piece of shit or whatever, and he's like, "Dad, when are we gonna be a family again?" And he hits a cigarette. Oh, say when the Angels win the pennant, and then of course they end up winning. Yeah.
And so what happens?
He walks out on him.
All right.
Leaves him with Danny Glover.
Oh, Danny Glover. All right. Well, let's get into a break. It is 28 minutes after the hour. Good little conversation there. We'll be back in 6 minutes. When we come back, we'll talk a little Big 12 football and the Longhorns. Welcome back, everybody. It is the Paul Rodriguez Show coming out of Studio 44. I got to love on those Dallas Cowboys a little bit. You know, they moved the needle whether we want to admit it or not. It's America's team. Lots of people peppered all throughout the nation and armed forces. Shout out to the armed forces who are, letting us do what we can do on a daily basis for protecting us and our nation. Shout out to them. Also, let's get into a little bit of the Big 12 college football. We're going to focus on the Longhorns today. They'll be opening up their season, I believe, on September 3rd. Guys, we're just about a little over 50 days away from college football starting. I believe we are 44 or 45 days away from the high school kickoff show that we'll probably have a little bit on Recon Athlete. We'll talk more about that on the other channel as well. We're trying to grow that one as well. Go over to Recon Athlete. I think we're about 15 subscribers away from 100. So if y'all want to go over there and support that show as well, content will probably be going up there, I would probably say in early August as we get back into the groove of high school football as well. But Big 12 kicking off, I believe, early September against the Ragin' Cajuns of Louisiana. All gas, no brakes is the moniker this year from Coach Steve Sarkisian. So, I don't know if you were looking today, but they're removing the current turf, and they're like out with the old. And I'm like, okay, well, what's coming in out? Is it going to be? See, at USC they have natural grass. And I'm like, are they going to put natural grass at Texas? Are they going to have a newer turf? What's going to happen? Because if you put natural grass, that's going to mitigate your speed as well as your opponent's speed. So if you want to be a pro-style offense, you want to play on natural grass. Well, Steve Sarkisian runs a pro-style offense. Well, why? Because you want to be able to, maul your opponents. So you got to have big, mean, nasty offensive linemen, hungry, athletic, what's the word I'm looking for? Agile defensive linemen to kind of get after the quarterback. So that'll be interesting to see. I'm going to make a prognostication here. I believe real natural turf will be inserted into DKR probably as soon as this field's up. They started removing the old turf today, and we'll see. Is it going to be more? Okay, why do I even bring up money with Texas? Why do we even try to think that's going to be an issue with the University of Texas? It doesn't matter what it costs as long as they win. That's pretty much how they feel in Austin, Texas, on the 40 acres. But Texas, I think they have a really good season ahead of them. Usually they play Texas Tech late. They're going to play them in late September. And really the only game I think that's going to give them a little bit of a hiccup is either going to be Texas Tech and Arkansas, which are in mid-September to late September. After that, the next game that's going to be the big rivalry is the Red River Shootout, or what they call the Red River Rivalry now with Oklahoma. So that's going to be on October 9th. I still call it the Shootout. I don't really give a shit.
You're not supposed to say that, or what?
Yeah, because it has shoot in it. So, yeah, you're not supposed to say that. You're not supposed to. But,
It's the Paul Rodriguez Show.
We independent over here, Jack. We got to do what we want right now. But, no, it is what it is. That's how I grew up knowing it. And, that Arkansas matchup, shout out to Wes. He's a big Razorback fan and, of course, Dallas Cowboy fan. But I'm trying to get a little, he wants to get a little action, get a little – you got to go do something embarrassing, or I got to go do something embarrassing, for that game. He'll probably obviously be taking the Razorbacks. But I like the Horns season this year. But, man, West Virginia, Iowa State, Oklahoma. Oklahoma's probably going to be the favorite. So they have Spencer Rattler, the best quarterback in the Big 12 coming back. But Iowa State, man, I think they could just be sneaky good moving forward. But with Steve Sarkisian's offense and what the types of players that Texas kind of puts out there, Bijan Robinson, Casey Thompson will probably be the quarterback this year. We'll see how. My biggest curiosity is can Texas play for 4 quarters instead of playing for 2? Because last year in the first 4 games, especially 2 that went into overtime with TCU and Texas, was it Texas Tech? Yeah, I think it was Texas Tech. You're going into overtime because you start playing in the second half. If you just play 4 quarters, you won't have these problems. They played 4 quarters against Oklahoma, but they still went into overtime because Oklahoma was just a better team. Of course, we all know how that ended last year.
Yeah.
But moving forward, I like the Longhorns. If their only loss is to Oklahoma once, they could probably come out of the Big 12 with a championship. Can they beat Oklahoma once? That's the question. Can you only lose to them once and that be your only loss? If that's your only loss and it's in the Big 12 championship game, it's going to kind of suck. But if you give up an L early in October, you learn from it. Maybe things can get a little bit better for you as they move forward. But you got to win against. You got to beat Lafayette. You got to beat Arkansas. You have to beat TCU. You have to beat Tech. You need to dominate the teams you're supposed to dominate. The Iowa State game is going to be tight. The West Virginia game is going to be tight. The Kansas State game is going to be tight. So you're going to have to win games that you're probably not used to winning. Can Sarkisian put that mental toughness into the Longhorn players? That's going to be the question. I think he's doing a decent job of recruiting. I think right now they're 4th in the nation for the 2022 class. So he's doing his job as far as recruiting goes, but you got to keep those kids. You can't let them kind of can't let them leave, can't let them decommit. So you're going to have to figure out what it's going to take to keep them, through their senior campaign, which will be happening this year in 2021. So, you can have these prospects ready to go in year one. Like if they're a high-flying recruit, 5-star recruit, you're going to need them to be ready to go. You can't let them, you don't want to develop them when they're on campus. You want to improve on their skill to the level you need them once they get there in the spring. And then by the time the fall comes, you're hitting the ground and you're off to the races. All gas, no brakes, right? Like Matthew McConaughey, the minister of culture. I call him the minister of cultura. The minister of cultura. He's got a Hispanic wife, or maybe she's Brazilian. I don't know. She's a very beautiful woman. Matthew, you did a great job, sir. Yeah, he's the minister of culture. He's the face of the Austin FC. Very, very dominant on the sidelines for the University of Texas, which is his alma mater. And, he's been riding with them since Vince Young. Hopefully we can have a repeat of that glory come back to the University of Texas.
You saw him getting hype over there at the inaugural
when he had the green
match.
suit?
Yeah.
Dude,
he was beating on that drum.
Dude, I'm telling you, he looked like the Riddler. I was like, DC Universe, can we cast the Minister of Cultura as the Riddler? Because he had on the slicked hair. It was in a ponytail. He wants to be governor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he really wants to be governor.
He's involved in some sort of, isn't he trying to pursue that?
Yeah, he's taking the necessary steps to kind of put himself in a race. And
how do you go against that?
You lean on your politics. I mean, you lean on your history as a politician. It would be really difficult because for him,
all you got to do is.
I think he's a middle of the road kind of guy, but I think he leans very slightly with more traditional ideology. But I mean, he's an Austin guy. He's a movie guy, and I wish him all the best of luck. It's just I don't know if Mr. All right is going to be willing to get down and dirty with the dirty side of politics, because we see how it goes. It doesn't matter if you're on the left or the right. People are going to come out and expose you and your history and what you've done and the one tweet you said that, doesn't fall in line with today's PC world. And, unfortunately, we have a lot of hypersensitive individuals in the world. And I think that's just due to the fact that we have become, I don't know why I went down this road. I'll finish it real quick. We become a country of opulence. We're very comfortable. We're very satisfied. And sometimes we have to make up nonsense to distract ourselves from what really goes on in the real world. Yeah. And I'm done right there.
I'll tell you how you win. you put 3 words on your campaign slogan. Yeah. All right. And you roll that bus.
Yeah, it could be. It very well could be. But yeah, man, I appreciate McConaughey for what he does for the Austin area, putting Austin on the map. It's cool to have someone of his, I guess, prominence to kind of fall back on and be like, yeah, like we're Austin. We're known for being weird, you know. We're known for some things. We're known from that thing, but he's the guy. He's the coolest guy of the coolest guys, right? He's that man, and hopefully he can bring some of that, you know, that culture, that swag. I don't want to say swag. For him, it's a little bit more, right? It's a little bit more of what's the right word? I should say style, you know. A little culture, you know, it's what it is. It's culture. Yeah. He's just
Austin culture.
It's a different lifestyle, a different level. And it's more Texas culture. Yeah. I think it's a little more Texas culture than people want to maybe give credit to. Because, you know, a lot of times when people hear Austin, you know, if you go, listen, let's put it this way. I've done this before. You go drive Uber for 3 days in Austin and you talk to everybody who gets in your Uber and they're going to be like, oh, are you from here? And you're going to say yes. And they're going to say no. And the likelihood of you getting someone that you pick up that was born or lived or was born in Texas is small. And that's why I kind of put that parameter around McConaughey. It was like, he's a Texas guy. And I get it, the University of Texas. I understand the correlation. But, dude, he's from South Texas. You know, he grew up with his daddy drinking beer in his underwear, smoking cigarettes, and, you know, dancing to all kinds of music. He was a hippie, you know, and then he turned into, you know, he's a good old boy now, and he's got a family, and he went to Hollywood and collected his, you know, recognition. He won an Academy Award, and for him to have the aspirations to the next level is noble. It's just I tell anybody who ever wants to get that game, just be prepared for the ugly side of it. Because I think a lot of people go in with, yeah, we're gonna change things. And it's like, I hate to break this to you, but this machine has been around since the early 1900s, the late 1800s, and this machine does not like to change. Just look at what we've been through for the past 4 or 5 years. Change is not what it does. You change, the person. Yeah, or you don't, or you're not allowed here. All right, that's
well said. Well said.
We went
Paul.
a little dark side. We went a little dark side on there real quick, and you saw how I walked that line. It's like, Paul, you're pretty good with your diplomacy there.
I'm gonna regurgitate some of this stuff tomorrow.
Maybe you need to run for pot. No. I need to be well established. They're like, well, you have one mic. I was like, small mic. Shout out to Texas. I've been a closet Oklahoma fan, but when
really,
yeah, I was a notorious, because they're winners. I like winners. I like to see my team win, and if a team is losing, Dallas Cowboys, Longhorns, Texas A&M Aggies, if you lose, I'm like, hey man, who's the closest team around here winning? Oklahoma. It's like, oh, well, what does Oklahoma do well? Recruit. Bring in Texas players. Well, why can't these other schools do that? I don't know. Let's go ask Bob Stoops. And when Bob Stoops left, my closet fandom left with him because I liked Bob Stoops. Like, he was a great coach. I think he's a lot better coach than people think. And granted, I don't know how we're finishing this with Bob Stoops, but I know he choked a lot when it came to the national championship. I get it. He got one though. He got one. My point is that in this region, he was competing with, you know, the Bobby Bowdens before he left Florida State. He was dueling with Nick Saban when Nick Saban was at LSU, and then the Mad Hatter when he came in. He was dueling with Mac Brown when Texas was going to win their national championship. And so that's just kind of where I had that closet fandom. But when Coach Stoops left, it left with him. And now I'm on to Texas just because I see so much potential there. The thing is they need a coach who can handle billionaire donors and who can relate to the inner city, lower socioeconomical athlete who they're recruiting. You have to go from the affluent recruit to the middle, lower country, rural athlete to recruit. You're going to have to fall in that niche and figure out how to get there. But meanwhile, you have to keep billionaire donors at bay. That's a hell of a job. There was only one guy to do it. Well, two guys. I'll say two. One was Mac Brown, and the other was Pete Carroll. Well, who was the offense coordinator under Pete Carroll? Steve Sarkisian. All right, folks. Man, this has been an interesting episode. This is like more entertaining than I thought.
Yeah, Pete Carroll, by the way, in my opinion, phenomenal coach. I used to not like him, obviously, because of just UFC, and against Texas Longhorns in the 2007 national championship and all that stuff. And then he goes to Seattle, and Seattle wasn't the most liked team just because they were so dominant. And he transitioned so well. Was that his first go at the NFL?
No, his first run was when he was with New England in the, I want to say late 90s, early 2000s. So before, no, maybe it was the mid 90s. But anyway, Pete Carroll had a run in the NFL, similar to how Saban had a run when Saban went to Miami after he left LSU. And Pete Carroll learned as well, I think Nick Saban learned, was you can't tell grown multimillionaires what to do. Like, you can't say, y'all need to be at this meeting or this and this and that and that. That's an all-pro multimillionaire left tackle. That's an all-pro multimillionaire receiver. They're going to tell you two words, and those two words are, fuck off. And they're going to tell you to your face, and there's not a fucking thing you can do about it. And I think that's what they both learned, and that's why they both went back to college. For Pete, like when he won his national championship and he had a little bit of a black eye with the Reggie Bush thing, which doesn't really fucking matter now with name, image, and likeness. Nope. And produces 2 Heisman winners, produces 2 national championships, and he's like, I can go somewhere where I think I can fit in, where his personality will fit the program, the franchise. And that ended up being Seattle, and he was successful. Should have had 2 Super Bowls. Yep. Should have ran the ball.
Oh, God, how do you not run it?
Let's get into a break real quick. It is 51 minutes after the hour. We're going to take a 6-minute break. When we come back, we'll dabble a little bit with the other 2 sports. Basketball is not really our forte. Producer James has his ear to the ground on that, and maybe we'll give you a score update for the All-Star game, maybe. I don't know. We'll be back. Welcome back, everybody. This is the Paul Rodriguez Show coming out of Studio 44. I'm looking over right now, and it appears that, the All-Star Baseball game is going on right now. National League is leading 4-1 over the American League. It is the top of the 6th inning, which they play 9, so they'll probably be over probably next hour because the game is slow. Too slow for me. Not going to do it. But I'll keep track of it online, kind of just see what the scores are. I don't know what really happens. I know there's somebody gets something if, I think that whoever wins gets home field in the World Series. Is that what that happens?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't pay attention enough.
Are you not much of a baseball fan?
It's the tempo of the game. It's the pace of the game.
You ever gone to a baseball game?
Yeah. I mean, I've been to even like Papa Romeo. He would take us to like I think they were called the Tecolotes. This was in like Laredo, Texas. And it was cool to see that. Like, baseball's fun when you're there, but if you're watching on TV, it's like, this is kind of boring. I don't know. To me, it's boring when you're watching on TV. But if you're there, it's fun. For some reason, it's different. I don't really know. I guess you just capture the ambiance or the ambiance, whatever. What do you go to games, or have you been?
I've been probably 2 games over there at Minute Maid Park in Houston.
Okay, so you went to the Astros.
Yeah,
Papa Roman, he took us to the Astrodome. This is before.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, this is back in the day, and that was kind of weird. It was kind of because there wasn't a lot of folks, there wasn't a lot of people, but I've seen. I don't know what the Laredo. I don't know what that was like 1A or single A. I don't know. All I know is we saw baseball there. San Antonio Missions. They have a team out there. Grandfather took us to watch that as well. But never been to. Actually, I take that back. I've been to Round Rock once. The Express. I've seen one game there. I remember that now. But yeah, I mean, I've been to NBA games. Never been to pro football games. College football, yeah, but. Never pro. That's kind of ironic, right? A little different. I don't know. What's going on in the NBA Finals? Are they playing today?
No, they play tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
So the series is 2-1.
Who's winning or who's leading?
Phoenix.
The Valley, huh?
Yeah, I'm not.
You think people in the RGV are going to get offended with that?
I hope not. I mean, nowadays probably.
I guess so. It's like, no, we're the Valley. It's like, really, there's more than one Valley.
Yeah. So yeah, Phoenix leads. Bucks won 120-100 on Sunday.
So is Antetokounmpo playing? Have you heard?
I thought he was hurt. I think he is playing.
Yeah, I think he is too.
Yeah. Because I mean, if I don't see how they win without him, you know what I mean?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Especially with like a fully healthy Phoenix Suns team, who's already dangerous enough as it is. I've just seen bits and highlights of the game. I think I see more of like what's going on social media rather than what's really happening like in the actual game when it's going live. But it's cool to see the highlights. It's just a little bit more of a condensed version of the game.
You just tune in for the fights.
Well, they're the ones who make it to my timeline. If you're making it to my timeline, I'm going to give you a little bit more energy. I'm going to entertain that a little bit more than if I wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, I've just been busy lately, and I haven't had the guys at work talk about that's where I get my update from them. Because
they're really into it.
Yeah, the finals and stuff like that. Which I'm a Spurs fan, so I'm just like,
I'm a Rockets fan, so I'm like,
oh man,
yeah, it's been rough.
I'm sorry.
It's been rough. It's been rough, bro. It's been rough.
So why the Rockets?
Well, ironically, whenever I was like in my formidable years, we lived outside of Houston, one of the suburbs, and this is like the mid '90s when Jordan took his hiatus when he went to go film Space Jam, the original, not this nonsense going on right now. So when Michael went to go film his movie and play AAA ball, the Houston Rockets were like a team on the come up, and they had like Sam Cassell, Kenny Smith, Elijah Wan. Who else did they have? They had a couple of guys I can't think of. I want to say Vernon Maxwell, but I could be wrong. So they had those types of dudes, and it was always the Utah Jazz. They were all like that thorn in the side. It was always the Utah Jazz coming down to the finals. You had what was his name?
John Stockton.
So there were Stockton and Malone and that other dude, the other guard. real nerdy looking white dude. I can't remember. I can't think of his name. He's a coach now. I think he's a coach in a college somewhere. Anyways, they were a really good team. And yeah, man. So Olajuwon was kind of coming up, and we would watching the finals, and kind of grew on me, Houston Rockets. So it's like, this is the first team I've learned about with basketball. And so I just kept with it, rode with them, and kind of kept to them to this day.
So it said the team includes Stockton, Malone, Hornacek, as well as Byron Russell, Antoine Carr, Howard Isley, and Shandon Anderson.
Hornacek, I think that's the other guard.
Okay.
Yeah, he was – because Stockton, man, he could just put that ball wherever Malone needed it.
Yeah.
And I remember Karl Malone and Olajuwon, they were just like have at it, like wars, like those dudes used to fight, like not what it is today. Like they would. I remember Karl Malone, like Olajuwon would back him down, and Malone would like pull the chair out from Olajuwon. He would like fall down. They call it traveling. Like what kind of chicken shit is this? And it would always drive me nuts. And it always simped. This is just for me. It always simped as like the Rockets were like the good guys, the honorable guys. They weren't gonna lie, cheat, and steal, but the Jazz would. And I'm like, well, why can't we do that to win? Well, they ended up winning regardless. So, but then when Chuck came over, when Charles came over, man, Rockets went to hell. And I was like, then I remember they beat the Rockets in the finals or the Western semifinals. Yeah, the Jazz did. And I'm like, man, this is stupid. I don't want to watch this. And then Mike came back. And then started winning rings all over again. I'm like, well, I guess the era is over.
Yeah.
But I never forget when Rudy Tom Jonathan said, never underestimate the heart of a champion. That was big time, man. It's like 94, 95. Big time. So, yeah, it kind of stuck with me.
Nice.
That's why I like the Rockets. I'm pretty sure you like the Spurs because they were winning championships. We love winners, man. We like winners. Yeah. I was actually working in San Antonio when that last run when Kawhi was MVP. Mm-hmm. Dude, those people like – just think about this. Think about if you were from San Antonio. You grew up in San Antonio, and you got to see them from like the 90s to like the late 2000s. Just that 20-year run. And these people were like crazy. They're like, wear their championship shirt to work day. Like, I'm not coming in tomorrow because I'm going to the Spurs game. Like, all right.
Yeah. Quick little story. So my brother grew up a Lakers fan.
I'm sorry.
And this is in the middle of
sorry, Joseph.
Well, I mean they did have the three-peat and
with Shaq and Kobe.
Yeah, with Shaq and Kobe. But I mean they were always going at it. Lakers and Spurs, always Western Conference Finals, you know. So yeah, there's some fights to be fought in the Santa Cruz residence. But
between y'all two.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Dude, when Derek Fisher, I don't know if you remember when he hit that .4.
Everybody, even I was upset. I'm like, really?
Yeah, I was like, unbelievable, dude. So Tim Duncan Tim Duncan shot over Shaq like it was like just inside of the arc, and he nailed a fadeaway with .4 left, goes overlooked because of Derek Fisher's .4 shot. But
a little salty about that.
To this day, to this day,
you're right.
So he hits that shot, and I was talking with my friend because he called me. He's like, "Man, I can't believe he hit that." Blah blah blah. My brother just sitting in front of the TV, like looking like he's about to cry, dude. And then he hits that shot, and I was like, "Dude, what the fuck?" And obscenities start getting yelled and all kinds of stuff. But
you start celebrating.
Yeah, it was fun, man. But it was good growing up. During that whole San Antonio Spurs. They were a good team, man. Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Steven Jackson back in the day. Jason, no, not Jason Kidd. Steve Kerr.
Steve
Kerr. It was good. And then they went up against.
No love for Tony.
Tony Parker?
Yeah, no love?
Yeah, I guess he was on there.
Dang! Would you
nah, yeah, I like.
You salty the way he did Eva Mendes or what? Not Eva Mendes, Eva Longoria? You salty? You are salty. You are salty the way he did
not
her.
Because of that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the guy was kind of shady.
What that mean?
But I do like Tony Parker.
What does that mean? Shady in what way?
With Brent Barry, he was like chasing after Brent Barry's wife.
He's scandalous, is what you're saying. All right.
He was playing other games in basketball. I'll put it like that.
He was pulling a Pepe Le Pew, is what you're telling me.
Yeah.
Oh, Frenchman being Frenchman, huh? All right, old Pepe Le Pew. I get you.
No, it was good basketball back in the day, man.
Brent Barry was on the team too.
Yeah. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Yeah. Good times. Good times.
All right. A little reminisce down Spurs and Rockets lane. That's kind of ironic how it's pretty ironic how things Papa Romeo, shout out to Papa Romeo checking in. Can't use the messenger, can't leave no trace. He's he got that special ops ghost edition. He ain't using no message board. But yeah, man, it was fun. Today was a good show. Are you fully caught up on your Loki shows?
I am. I'm waiting on the final episode, which comes out tonight, so I'll watch it tomorrow. We'll probably be talking about that on Dark Side tomorrow.
Yeah.
At 7 p.m.
What else y'all talking about tomorrow?
YouTube and Facebook. Just, usual random topics. We're getting ready to, what I think is do a little makeover for the show, so.
What about a little Cuba Libre? You talking about that?
Libre?
Cuba Libre, you know what that is?
No.
It's a drink.
Oh, okay.
Means free Cuba.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a good drink.
Yeah.
You should try it. Have you ever had it?
No.
It's good. It's great.
What does it consist of?
Rum and Coke. Cuba Libre.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you gotta have free Cuba.
Yeah, I did see that trending on Twitter.
The drink? Yeah, I know. I saw it trending on there too.
So before we go, got some UFC news.
Yeah, I got something Dana said about UFC too, and I want to get your thoughts on it.
Okay.
So I'll let you go first.
Okay.
Unless you want me to.
So apparently it's a done deal.
You go ahead.
I've been holding in this whole hour. Apparently it's a done deal. Nick Diaz versus Robbie Lawler. We got a 5-rounder, September 25th, UFC 266.
Really?
Which is Blachowicz and Teixeira. They're headlining, but they're doing a 5-rounder for the co-main event, I'm guessing, for September 25th, UFC 266. Super excited.
That means that's going to be a busy weekend.
Yes, it is.
Hold on real quick. I got to look at one thing.
So
I need to look. So go ahead.
Nick Diaz hasn't fought in the UFC since
2015.
2015, which his last fight was against Anderson Silva, which actually got overturned because I think that was Anderson Silva's, he had tested positive. I guess he said he was on Viagra or some shit like that.
Yeah.
But, Nick Diaz, before that, coming off a loss, George St. Pierre for the title, also coming off a loss against Carlos Condit. But before that was on a tear, of course. As far as Robbie Lawler goes, Robbie Lawler is coming off of a 4-loss streak to Rafael Dos Anjos, Ben Askren, Colby Covington, and again, Neil Magny. But before that was on a tear as the champion. I just think Robbie Lawler, man, he's the kind of guy, he's going to stand. This is going to be a great fight. He's the kind of guy, he'll stand in front of you. Yep. Now, I'm going to channel my inner Chris Collinsworth. So here's a guy.
Oh, Lord.
He'll stand in front of you, and it's kill or be killed, as well as Nick Diaz. Everybody knows that. The Diaz brothers. So I'm looking forward to it, man. It's going to be a great fight.
I agree with you. It's going to be a great fight. I think it may even outshine the main event because I don't think Glover Teixeira is going to be it may be an early knockout for Blachowicz, just as my perception. But here's what I wanted to bring up. In September 25th, notable games that are probably going to be in the evening. Arizona versus Oregon, Oregon State versus USC, Colorado versus Arizona State, Notre Dame versus Wisconsin. Well, that's going to be at 11. I just saw the time right there. Hold on, let me look a little further. Boise State, nope, that's early. So yeah, it's going to really depend because the Big 12 matchups, West Virginia versus Oklahoma, that could probably be an 11 o'clock game. Same thing for Kansas State, Oklahoma State. That's not a game. That's not a game. Nebraska, Michigan State, that could be something to look at. Overall, I'm looking at the whole lineup for college football that day. Outside of Texas Tech, Texas, and Texas A&M, Arkansas, it's a pretty slow weekend. And that could be why they picked it. Other than those two games, that A&M Arkansas game, big matchup in the SEC East, and that Texas Tech Texas, that's a big matchup for the Big 12, September 25th. I could see one of those games being in 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock range, which means it would end right about the time the main event card begins. So whoever's going to end up on as the first fight, they may overlap a little bit. But once 10 o'clock comes, the Pac-12 games, that Arizona, Oregon State, that could be a late game potentially. If it's not, unless it's in prime time. I could see it being like a 3:30 game, 2:30 game on ABC, but I could also see it being like 7:30, 8 o'clock on prime time on ESPN. You just don't know, because Oregon's going to be good, and Arizona's supposed to be, better than what they usually are. So that's the only kind of crossover that may occur. But that's going to be a fun weekend, and especially right before October. So they had to boost that to shared card because that Blagovic's to shared card is horrible. So Dana White, and you let me know if Dana White's posturing in this. And this is the news that Dana White said. Dana White basically said that he has heard, and I'm not saying this is true, and I don't have any facts to back this up, but allegedly Dana White had heard there potentially could be another shutdown due to this new COVID. Now, my question to you is this Dana White trying to discourage other sports from trying to reopen and go 100% so that his business stays relevant, or is this factual? Because to me, what happens next month? What happens in September?
When shit starts,
football kicks off and it's off like a mother, right?
Yeah.
So it makes sense for Dana White to say, "Oh, well, I've heard. I don't know if it's true. He just got done hanging out with a full crowd in Vegas. Why would he think that? Why would he be worried? He's like, oh, well, the UFC's not going to shut down. We never shut down last time, and we won't shut down. So are you just trying to tell everybody like your business is going to run continuously like it has been? And if so, why do you need to talk about it? What is your thoughts on why he brought that up?
I mean, man, there's no telling.
Dana White doesn't strike me as a guy to blow hot air unless it's for a reason.
Yeah, he wasn't. He kind of went against the whole shutdown stuff to begin with. He was like, we're going to continue on, which you got a lot of heat for. But, I mean, it's not like, there wasn't like deaths or anything like that associated with them continuing their business. So,
and apparently he has an extensive protocol, too. Like, I mean, he's had to pull fighters and fill in fighters, which he's managed to make it work.
Yeah.
So, but my whole thing is, why the hell bring it up? What was the reason? Is it to discourage people from watching other products? That's my take. That's where I'm at with it, because I know football is going to dominate. Yeah. And he's going to lose pretty much like 70% of his viewership. And it's like I don't know if he knew, but the best weekend to have that Nick Diaz Robbie Lawler fight is the 25th, because it's a slow week. So is it working out for him, or is he just like, is there something to it? I don't know.
I don't know.
Is he just being spiteful? I mean, those are the things. Like, I was kind of curious what you thought of it.
I didn't hear that. But I have been hearing about this other variant.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man.
But if you're vaccinated, you're fine.
Apparently not.
Well, I mean, that's what they say. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not a doctor. But I'm just saying, like, for Dana to bring it up in the sports world is quite curious. Has me quite curious. Like, I'm not worried that there's going to be like a shutdown. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried like, what is your intention, right? Like, what is your motivation for like bringing this up?
Saying that, yeah. I mean, you're right.
The curiosity is kind of just like extremely heightened. It's like, is there something? Do you know something we don't? Do you know like? I could see like certain states making their own decisions, which, it is what it is. But do you want to like restrict your venues to Nevada, Texas, and Florida? If so, that's great for us. I mean, we can still go to the product. We can still watch your product.
That's what it's been as of late, right?
Yeah, as of late, yeah. Oh, Arizona as well.
So I think that 266 is going to be in the T-Mobile Arena over there in California.
No, that's Vegas.
That's Vegas.
Yeah, the T-Mobile Arena. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's where this fight was this past weekend.
Okay. What's the one in Vegas?
That is the one in Vegas.
No, I mean, sorry, California.
Staples Arena.
Staples.
I mean, that's the only thing. That's the one in Las Vegas. That's the one in. Or they could also fight at the SoFi Stadium. That's the brand new stadium for the Rams and the Chargers. I could see that happening. Of course, we heard what Connor was saying before he took an L was he wanted to fight at Allegiant Stadium, which is the brand new stadium in Las Vegas for the Oakland Raiders and the UNLV Rebels. They call it the Death Star. No, for real. Yeah, I was like, it's called the Death Star. Come on, man. I even pointed at you. So, I mean, there's a bunch of facilities out there. And the other thing, too, is with these football stadiums, all the NFL protocols are going to be built into them. So the redundancies are going to be there to protect everybody. Yeah. There's no problems. No problems. Dana White, I know you're scared of the NFL, and I know you're scared of football coming back. I know you are. High school football, college football, NFL football, lingerie football league.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Crazy times we live in. Pandemics.
It's not crazy, man.
All this shit.
It's not crazy.
We've never dealt with anything, you know.
Dude, we went through 9/11. We went through the Cold War. We were alive when the Berlin Wall fell. You were barely alive.
Yeah.
We've been through stuff. This isn't like
well, I'm talking about it like a pandemic where if you go to a football game and the guy sitting next to you could possibly have some disease that could potentially kill you, whether or not you have these, you know, what do they call it, predetermined, pre-existing conditions is what they call it, I guess, or what do they call it?
Yeah, pre-existing conditions.
Yeah.
Or
you know.
Anyway, I don't factors. I don't know.
Yeah, that's you know, the rap. We can go on forever. I told myself I'm no longer arguing with no one about COVID. I'm no longer arguing with nobody about masks.
You brought it up.
I know, but I'm saying that it's different from like 9/11 was an event that happened on one day. It's not like the United States was infiltrated with like a shitload of terrorists where you go to a football game and the guy next to you.
That was the whole. Hold
on.
All right, you better make it right.
Hold on, I'm talking, brother.
Hurry up. Let's go.
So it's not like the guy next to you like could have a fucking AK-47 and was gonna gun you down. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like that. It's like
it happened in Vegas.
It's the fact that this guy was perched up at the fucking Mirage in Vegas.
Let's go back to your 9/11.
Okay. So no, what I'm saying is that this is unlike anything that I have ever experienced because, you know, like I said, you go to a football game, the guy next to you could possibly be sick, you know, carrying some disease that you could take with you, not experience any symptoms, go visit grandma, give it to grandma. She's old as fuck. Grandma's in the hospital. You know what I'm saying? It's just different. If it was a disease where like you got sick and everybody like got sick the way that you know, like the flu or some shit like that, to where like you were guaranteed to get sick, it would be different. But in my opinion, it's the fact that, you know, you could be carrying it and not know about it. That's what the whole
allegedly.
That's what the thing is.
That's what they say.
Okay.
I'm just saying that's what they say.
I'm agreeing with you.
I know. I just want to make sure everybody has a clear understanding. I don't know. I can't live my life like that. This is just me personally. Like I can't. I because of what's behind me, I don't live in fear.
So you're like Cole Beasley.
What do you mean?
When he said, "I'd rather die living free than get that shot."
Well, I am free. It's inherent. It was given to me when I was born. I mean, I don't have to. Nobody's going to give me freedom.
Yeah,
I have it. I think that's why I think a lot of times people maybe have a misunderstanding, like, oh, you know, this group of people or that group of people or this agency or that agency says you can do X, Y, Z, and it's like, well, I mean, they said it. That doesn't mean it's true. That's what people, if the masses believe it, that's what the masses believe. But for you, you get to make up your own decision individually. And, you know, if how do I say this? If you want to conform, that's great. That's good for you. But if you want to civilly disobey, you have that right also. That's where I'll leave it. All right, guys. We went off the rails a little further than I wanted to tonight, but it was a good show. It was more conversation tonight, which was, I think, what we needed. I think we found that last night. Just had to push your buttons a little bit. And we found it, Jack. We'll be off tomorrow. Everybody tune in to Dark Side of the Mic tomorrow. What time?
7 o'clock, 7 p.m.
7 p.m. Y'all aren't gonna go early again, are y'all? Start early?
So it's loosely 7-ish.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
All right.
But
Get your band of misfits over there and look, man. When it says 7 o'clock, push the button.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I guess that's it. And
yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe.
there you go.
If you like what you heard, subscribe. Give us a like, man. If you're watching, give us a like. And tell your people, don't forget to subscribe to Paul Rodriguez Show exclusively on Spotify right now.
Are we exclusive on Spotify?
It's on Spotify, yeah.
We're on YouTube, too.
Yeah, well, the podcast version, audio version.
Yeah, the audio version is pretty dope. I will say that. It's like a lot more condensed than this version. Highly digestible.
Yeah. If you're on your way to work or whatever.
It's only like, what, 30 minutes?
Yeah, 30,
45 minutes. Yeah. Really short. If you drive into Austin, perfect commuting podcast for you.
Yeah. Listen to it. Shoot us a comment. Paul, you're full of shit. You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I know.
Listen to James more often if that's what you want to say.
Yeah, I know. That's it?
That's it.
Oh, man, I thought you had more better to say. Well, luckily, we'll keep James around a little bit longer if we need him. I don't know. We'll see. All right, we'll be back Thursday. Well, we can't do this without James. We're out.